So let's continue with this course, and today we are talking about Node.js and Express. So we are really diving into the backend. We are also doing frontend to see how the backend is accessed through the frontend. So frontend. So this far we have been talking about on the previous course. We were talking about frontend. We were building just simple frontend application with JavaScript. Now we have switched to TypeScript, and we are also switching to backend. But in the frontend, we had the issue that every time the page is reloaded, all the data is lost, and we are starting from the beginning. The page is loaded and constructed from the scratch. So to be able to use a real application with saved data, we need to have some kind of a place to store that data, and then we can access it through our desktop environment, through our mobile phones, etc. And this place is called server environment, also known as backend. So the client, the front end is the browser, and the backend is the server side where all the data is then stored. Within the server side, one can of course use several different server software and programming languages if he wants. So we could have a, let's say, Apache running there on the server, and it could be programmed with PHP, Perl, or Python. We could have a Tomcat running in Java. We could have Microsoft ISS there or whatever. But on this course, we are using Node.js and Express. We would be able to build the server completely with Node.js, but the Express in the top of the Node.js, it really helps us to build application faster. And of course there are also Deno, which is derived from Node.js. It's completely suitable tool, but in this course we are still going with the Node.js. This means that we are now using TypeScript on both sides, the front and the back. So that's the aim, to use TypeScript to get rid of those stupid errors. So what is Node.js? It is a method to execute JavaScript in a server environment and in command line. So when the JavaScript was born in the 1996 or something, it was a language made for browsers, so it was only run in the browser environment. But a few years ago, 15 years ago, there was idea that what if we run the JavaScript also in the backend? And the Node.js is the tool for that, and Node.js advertised themselves that it's a high performance network application framework. The keyword is here, it is only framework, well optimized for high concurrent environments. And Node's goal is to provide an easy way to build scalable network programs, and the keyword here is the scalable. So it wouldn't matter that if we had a one client or we had a 1 million client. Of course it's a bit different thing, but Node.js should be okay to work with both. And Node.js built over this V8, which is the Google's JavaScript engine for the Chromium web browser, and then that is taken apart and put in the server side. So Node.js really works on the V8. And it has been written with JavaScript and C++. When the Node.js was first time built, the TypeScript didn't even exist back then. Node.js hasn't been fully supporting TypeScript, but actually just this fall 2024 there has been this real first implementation that Node.js would work with TypeScript. But yeah, there has been some issues, but it's completely doable, but it's not ready out of the box. So what can you do with Node.js? So you can do HTTP server. That's the thing we are doing on this course. So it's very easy. Just few lines code and you have HTTP server. Or you can of course use Express or some other framework to ease that job and provide more help on this process. You can build a general TCP network server that could help if you are building games. you could have a backend built with the Node.js, then the games would connect to the Node.js server. You could have a network communication software or chat server, so you could build something like a Signal server or a WhatsApp server with Node.js. So anything that requires network communication, concurrent execution, or browserless JS, you could basically build anything like, let's say, Visual Studio Code. It is built with JavaScript. It's running on Node.js. Let's have an example now on this. Then let's just build a very simple Node.js server. Actually, we are going to need a browser there. Let's have a browser here too. So we are going to have a... Yeah, so first of all, this is now completely empty folder. But as we would like to have some kind of a node environment, we would first init the application. npm init. So what is our package? Yeah, this is fine. It's the version 0.0. Yeah, it's fine. The default is index.js. I'm switching this to server.ts. And otherwise I'm very happy with this. This is okay, yes. And now what we got package.json. So here are some key information of our application, and so we have this server ts is the main file. So let's add that file like this. And what we are actually doing, we are just writing a very short HTTP server, and now we are using this older version. So what we are requiring the Node.js HTTP object, and then we are just building a server. So create server. That's pretty much what we want. We are here making a anonymous function which is getting a request. So the client is making a request, and then the server is making a response like this. And this server now needs to listen to something, some port, and let's listen to, let's say 8000 is the port. And now we can here make a console log that says that client made a request. And then we would want to give something to the client. So this is this response. So response and write something there. We could write just hello world like this, and then end this response. And here we have actually the server, so let's just write that server, oh no, server running. This might now work. Let's see if it's working. So first of all, now we have the server.ts. We need to use this transpile process. So we got a error. Do you need to install type definitions? We can actually install these. So as I mentioned that Node.js is not fully compatible with the TypeScript, we can get these kind of errors, but then we can install these type definitions with these commands. And now we are only installing them in the development environment because it's no use to push those on the production environment. So this is providing necessary information for these Node.js types that then TypeScript can understand. But now we have the server.js, we have also some else. So we have these node modules where we are now having to two modules there with different things. And yes, let's see. Yes, now we can run it. Server.js. Server is running, so this is working. We got the server running. Now we would like to access the server through our browser. So let's go to localhost, and 8000 is the port. Let's see, we got hello world and the call text that client made a request. So let's refresh this page, and then it's always getting a request there. So quite nice. So we have 8 lines of code and we have made an HTTP server. This is the simplest way to have a server on with the Node.js. Now we are not using Express or any other tool, so this is a very simple thing. So there is now hello world. If we check the code, yeah, this is like showing that would be have a age and body, but this is actually not true. If we would like to get what's the, so here is the source code, Control U, and there is no HTML tags at all. So this is only providing us words hello and world, not any tags, although one could have tags here, but this is completely wrong way to do it. So now if we refresh this, no, actually, yeah, nothing is happening because we didn't restart our server. So now if we are making, and actually, yeah. So first let's compile this, transpile, and then run. And now there is a HTML tag. It's still missing the HTML header and head and body and everything other, but it's still, yeah, working. But as you can now see that we have to first make this transpile process and then manually start the node server. Yeah, it's something that wouldn't be there or some simple way. Let's see that in the future. So then few more words about Node.js characteristics. So it's event-based, non-blocking, lightweight input-output model. And its logic is often callback-based. This is very JavaScript way. We have learned that the JavaScript, it's not blocking the code. You still continue to code forward even if there is some function calls. So you need to have those callbacks. So programs are written with JavaScript, or you can of course use TypeScript, which is then transpiled to JavaScript. And it is different from the browser. So we are in a browser side, we are using the browser environment, and the server environment through Node.js we are using the different environment. So we do not have a document object model. We are not in a browser, we do not have it. But instead we can access to the file system. We can write files, we can read files. That's the difference. And in the browser, the console logs goes to the browser debug logging, and in the server environment, the console log goes to the terminal. So you can then see on the server terminal what the console log is printing. And everything in Node.js occurs in a single thread. I'm showing a picture of that. And then there is a material, of course, the Node.js own manual. It's completely advisable to check out. And the event loop, it's like this. So on the left side we have plenty of clients that are connecting to the server through browser. And then there in the browser there is this event loop. It's taking all the client requests. It's probably building some new threads, which are then doing something like accessing file system or databases and such. But this is a single loop that takes every client request. This is completely different if you compare it to, for example, PHP, where every time you access to the web page, the PHP, the Apache and PHP, they are building a new process for the, I think it's new process even, not just new thread, it's a new process. A bit of theory. So if you would be coding with Java, PHP or Python, you would have this kind of call. You could query, for example, database and get some results. Then you could do something with the results, and after that doing something without the results. This last line of code would wait until the second line would be finished. But as we are going with the JavaScript way, we are making a database call, and then this do something without results. It is executed right away. So this database call, it's not blocking this input-output system. So we need to have this callback do something with the result. It is done then after this database query. And you have to understand that this do something without is run in a sense a parallel. It's the database call is not blocking. So then we have the Node package management. So Node is not having all the necessary parts. For example, this Express, it's outside Node. It's its own packages. And we can use, for example, these modules. We can install them with Node package management and then import them from their files with the import keyword. Or you could probably see a code where it's require. It's doing most of the same, but it's a different concept. The import is a newer standard. The require was the older version. And this npm tool, we can, for example, install Express with npm install Express. Or we could install nodemon globally with this G flag. And then about this Express, whether it's Express.js, Express.js or Express, I'm not quite sure if they even themselves know what is the name of their framework. So basically it's a Node.js library or framework or whatever. It's a minimalistic web programming framework built on Node.js. So it does not force you to have some way, certain shapes. You can decide yourself what kind of a programmer are you and what kind of a application you want to build and what is the way you are using. Whether you are using React on the front, vanilla JS on the front, or some kind of a template engine or whatever, that's completely up to you. And it offers a mechanism for processing routes for different paths, so this routes module. It provides tools for creating views. If you are using view engines, template engines, we are not really going through them on this course. It makes possible for middleware functions that provide additional request processing. This is very handy, we will cover it. And there are plenty of good material, for example this Mozilla tutorial, Express documentation, really worth reading. And then let's have an example of what we are going to do with Express. So let's continue this by just removing the whole thing. So now it's completely empty, and so this file does not exist anymore, and now we are having this completely empty folder. So let's just first make this TypeScript init here like this, and now we have the TypeScript configuration file, and then we can do this npm init. Oh, I'm missing the T there, but still working. Let's have this as a server.js. Yeah, this is okay. So let's continue. We would like to install Express. We will need that. And then we will install also path and Morgan. And then let's install this globally, this nodemon, or is it even a nodemon? Yeah, let's see if it's installed or is it not. Now we have quite a lot of stuff here. So first of all, now we have these two settings files. This package.json is for the Node.js project. So we are running the server file. We can once again make it like this. And then what else? Then we have this. So let's come to this TypeScript file, and we can here modify the things as was done in the previous video. So the target is ECMAScript next. Then we are having this out dir. Where are we putting all the stuff is this dist. And then no emit on errors. So if there are errors in our code, we will not make anything. And now we will also need something, as I mentioned, there are issues with Node.js and TypeScript, so we are requiring this Express type so we can use it better with TypeScript. And similar case with the Morgan, like that. And we are actually also needing this this module. This is like watching that if there is a TypeScript file has changed it will automatically transpile that to JavaScript. Very good. And now we could actually write something. Let's make the very simple server. So we are now using this import. We are importing Express. From Express. Express. Yes. Like this. And then building the app. Its type is Express. So let's have new Express application. We are also needing a port number for this application. It can be 8000 or 3000, whatever you wish to have. And I am now having file called JS where it should be TypeScript file. Let's change this. Like that. And this is pretty similar to Node.js to build an Express application. So we are having this app and we are listening to some port, and then we are having the application code here inside this listening part. We can now have that console log. Server running on port, and then let's have the port here like this. And now we would want to automate this transpiling process. We can have it here on the package.json. We can define a way to do that. So let's have a start script. So start like this. And then it's having this tsc watch. And on success, what is it doing? It will start nodemon with the dist server.js like this. So this is watching that if there is a modification on the file, it will transpile it, and it's then starting the Node.1 server. Let's see what happens. And of course nothing happened. I have the script on the wrong place. It should be there in the scripts part, like this. So now it is fixed. Now we can try to run it. So npm run, and it was like a start. Let's see. So now this is giving us too many files to watch, error. And now it's not giving any errors. The reason here, this is very annoying. I just shut down the Discord and Teams client. So Discord and Teams are both built with Electron that is run on Node.js. They are providing so much to watch. So instead of watching those, I'm just shutting down those applications, and now my own program could work. So now cannot get anything. There is nothing provided in our application. Yeah, that's very true, because our application is completely empty. So what we could do, we could actually, let's remove this here. And now when I save the file, it's running this whole process again. What about if I have a mistake here? Int let x number equals string. Now it's not working. Found one error, so it's not compiling this. And let's remove the error, and now everything is working. So let's continue to have this application to serve us something. And we could have here a setting that our application is using Express static. So we are providing something static, not an application, but a static file, like some kind of PNG image or something. And its path would be this our directory, public. Yeah. So why there is this? We don't have the path, of course. Yeah. Let's import path from path. So here we are only importing Express, but here we are taking all the path. And not directory. Their name should be the correct one. So why we are going one level up? Because we are here in the distribution here in that folder, and let's have a new folder called public, and there we can have a new file .index.html like this. And now the error is gone. Our application is working. It's providing this HTML file, what we have here. Now this is completely working, and we have the complete HTML page. So we are now providing a one folder that is static, and it can be axed whatever. So we could build our client here. So our browser client is now working here. And in this public file, we can then of course have the let's call this wall.css. We are building a toilet wall application where we could write anything to the toilet wall. So let's have this called wall, and we have a wall.js also. Will have a JavaScript and CSS code there. But now we are fully having this application up and running, but then we would need some kind of endpoints for our applications, and those we will now continue on the next part. And finally, some words about templates versus API. So in the old days, let's go back 15 years, server-side programming included a lot of building templates to show data. So we could, for example, in the server side, we could build an HTML table with full of phone models or user accounts. But nowadays we can do this we are making Ajax call to the backend, and the backend provides us JSON data through API. Not HTML, but only the data, and then the data is handled in the front end and is shown as a user as a HTTP table. So in the first method, all the calculation and formatting is done on the server side, and in the second, also front end, meaning the browser has to do data manipulation. So for example, if you are using mobile phone, it draws a lot of more battery if you are running more code on the front end. So let's have an example on this one. So let's continue this application. Now we have just a simple, very basic Node.js Express application, and the next step here is to do a fully functioning application that has a front end, and then we have a back end. So the front end will be very simple, just some JavaScript, but the back end will be made with the Node.js and Express. So let's start with the actual front end. So we have the HTML file here. Let's modify it a bit. So first of all, we need some kind of a CSS framework, as we will not write every piece of CSS from scratch. So there are plenty of CSS frameworks, for example, Bootstrap, Material, Tailwind. Let's use not Bootstrap, but the Materialize here. So if we Google Materialize, we will get this kind of a Google page. Yeah, this is decent, but as you can see, this is only providing us the version 1.0, which is way old. We can still use it, but it's a kind of old one. Here are the newer versions, actually not here. So when we are looking for a newer version, we can Google Materialize web, and this is providing us. Oh, I'm getting German. Yeah, why not? It's fine. So this is the newer version 2.1.0. This is the latest community-driven version. So let's get started without advertising. Thank you. So we will definitely need these. We could use also npm, but let's just now link these files. So now we have the CSS file, and then we have the JavaScript file. And yeah, we will also need our own CSS a bit. So let's add that. And this will have the wall CSS that we have been making here. Maybe I could use a bit smaller font, so everything would be visible still. And we also have this wall.js. We need to link that to, yeah, this should be like link. What am I writing here? And then we have this script file, of course, this wall.js. Now it's making sense. So now they are linked here. So, and then I will also add some icons from the Google. So this materialize, it was originally made by Google and it's used in Android development. So there are some material icons. Let's take them. And then we can go to the CSS a bit, as we are going to import few fonts there. So let's go to the CSS file and have these fonts. So this is taking few fonts like Hallelujah, India Flower and such. We will see them soonish. Then back to the HTML, and now we can use these materialize components. There are plenty of, let's say, colors, grid helpers and such, and components, then buttons and nav bars and such. We can use all of these. So we have the body. We do not have any need for h1 right now, so let's remove that and let's continue with the div, which id equals main canvas. Yes, I can write. Then here we have a header that has a nav bar. So there is this nav tag, and here we could use classes called orange. So we are making orange, and then we are darkening it a bit like this. Yeah, now it's good to go. Then we will have some kind of a wrapper for this navigation. These are all from Materialize, like this. And now in this HTML element inside here, we can then build the actual navigation menu, which also includes the brand logo and some kind of a brand name. And in our case, we will have a very short brand name and logo. So first of all, we are heading back to the home, and this will be class, and it will use brand logo class, and it will be assigned to left. So we are using CSS classes brand logo and left. And then the actual name, which is now toilet wall. This is, and let's see, we should get it here. Yes, now we have a toilet wall. Of course, our browser is not refreshing. Everything else is what it is. Then let's have some kind of an icon for this application. So let's just have another link, which is also directing to this index page. So it's like a refreshing the data target equals mobile demo class side nav trigger and right. So if we are having this site as a mobile view, then we can just see something differently. And now inside this anchor, we will have the actual icon. We can have it inside the I element. And here the class is material icons, and we will have menu here. Let's see. So now we have a menu, and now inside this menu we will then have some links. I'm just creating a few links here, so it's very simple like this. And now we have here the links, and then when this is changing to the mobile view, then there is this kind of a menu. So let's just continue with this. Now we have the now we have the menu that is visible when we have the desktop view, but then we would have something for the mobile view, and we are now adding also that. So besides that, this nav element, now we have a side nav which ID is mobile demo, and this here we set the target as a mobile demo. So let's refresh. Now we have the menu here visible, and when we are getting it here, now it's working, but it's not completely now working. Okay, now after refreshing, the mobile menu went away, so let's continue. So we will need some kind of a place for the poems. This toilet wall of ours, it will produce and show some. There is a place to produce poems, write poems, and that this wall will then show them. So we will need a main, which is having classes container and section. So this is the starting point. And then we will have the actual poems in the unordered list, which is called the wall, and it will have also class row. And now we can install manually one poem here. I'm just copy pasting just a poem here, so there is one list item, and we are setting that it's a column. Its size on small devices is taking 6 steps, medium devices 4, and large 3, and it is going to have a flow text. So this is now working. Then we should have some kind of controls that we can actually write the poems here, so let's have them. Div id poem controls, like this. What we are going to need, we will need first a label. And what's this label for? It's for poem input, and it says write your poem. And then we are going to make the poem input. It will be a text area. And it will be quite large, so it's taking like 30 columns and 10 rows, like this. So now we have the text area. Then we would need some kind of a button to add the poem there. So let's add a button. Its ID equals add poem, and let's have a few classes. So it's going to be a button, and it's going to be pink, and it could send your poem like this. Let's see. Yes, definitely it is working. We have one poem here, and then we have the text area and button. But it would be nice if we had a label for the we would have some kind of a checkbox that we would have an option to have some poems as very important, so they are VIP. very import poem. Let's have this kind of a setting. So first we need the label for this VIP, and then we can have a input field here inside this label. It's called type is checkbox, name equals VIP, ID equals VIP, and then let's just have some text here, span this is a very important poem. So we have just an option to have a very important poem, and now there is this kind of a option. And as this checkbox is now getting classes from the materialized CSS, there will be that nice effect. Then let's have still one more button, and it's called get poems from API. So we are sending those poems to backend and we are getting them back from there. So if we are first coming to this page, then we could use this button to get those poems. So this is add poem from API. Let's add just a waves effect if this is working. I am not seeing any effect. Yeah, but when I'm clicking it, then there is an effect. Yes, it's working. So now our front end is pretty much working. We could still have a footer here after the main part. So now this is copyright by Doilet Wall. So everything is okay here. This is working. I'm still adding some CSS besides these fonts. Let's make it so that we have a few lines of CSS. First of all, these kind of lines. So we have a background for our application. Now it's white. Then we have this footer, main canvas, and the actual wall. Now you can see that this is not good. This font is way too white. Then let's add some kind of a CSS for now. There is a better way to see this. So this is setting the CSS definitions for one list item, but if we want to get some random thingies, let's add this pseudo random settings here. Now we are getting different font for every nth child here in the item. So if we now add few poems here, so just to show you like this, now they are with different fonts. And let's see, we need still a bit more. So this was this VIP tag that is necessary. So we have a just class called VIP, and then the font weight is a bit bigger and also the font size. So if some poem is VIP, then we will add the VIP tag for that. So if we are having a fourth poem, and this will also have a class VIP, then it's bolded. Yeah, I would go with the black font. So let's see if I'm having a, let's switch the color to black like this. Now we can actually see something. Otherwise we can go with these settings. So now they are with different fonts, and this is bolded as it's very important poem. So this is how our CSS is looking. We are trusting the materialize to provide us the button style and such, and then we made some customization, and the HTML is okay. We have two buttons that are, now we need to have some kind of a functioning there, and thus we have this wall.js. So let's see if I had the let's have a bfare here, so we are not loading it, but until all the page is being loaded. So what we could have here, so let's first have a function called initialize, and here we do some initialization. I am first creating a options object, basically. This is an object which will have some kind of a settings like edge equals right. Then we have a draggable. It's false, so we are not having a draggable. In duration 250 milliseconds. Out duration 200 milliseconds. On open start null. On open end null. Well, then setting all these settings to the different elements. Let's see, where was I? On close start null. On close end null, and then finally prevent scrolling through. So these settings are for our mobile menu, and these are like these materialized things. So let's first get the element. Elements equals document query selector all, and we have this side nav. Let's make sure that we have this side nav, which is this. So this is the mobile side nav, and now we are building a functionality for that. And then const instances. So materialize is providing us this kind of a thing, so side nav init, and now we just need to design what we are initting and what we are putting there. So this elements is the side nav, and then the options are these options we just had the previews. And it's still not working. Yes, because we are not calling this initialize function. Now we got the menu finally. So in desktop we have the desktop menu, but when we go to mobile view we get the menu button, and then the menu comes from right side. We have said that it comes from right side, and how long does it take to come out and come in and does other things. Yes, it's working good. Then we have these poem buttons. Let's take care of those. So first we will need this add poem button, and that is on the add poem, and then we can just add event listener to this button. We are of course listening this click, and then we can have a function there. Nope. Like this. And this is a mistake. Yeah. So when the button is clicked, let's just get a new element. So this was this poem input, which is like this, of course, and then we will need also this VIP thing. So if the poem is very important, then let's get that too. And it was called VIP. Let's continue that later on. Now we are going to need so this is like how we can do the saving, but let's first get poems from the server. Let's copy paste this and add poem button from API. Like this. And of course, then we are adding a simple event listener. And we are fetching stuff from our local host. Not 3000, 8000. So let's see what this is doing. So we want to fetch stuff, so let's have this poem data wait fetch, and of course this function. Oh, it added a sync here. Well, why not? Yes, so we are fetching, and then we will need to parse that. Like this. So this is basically poems, and now we can do then go loop through this. This is like a from the introduction course recap. So for each. Okay. So we are getting one poem. And what we are doing with this poem, we are adding it to the our web page. And we are getting a data structure. Actually, we are going to need that data structure now. So let's have a new folder here. No, new folder here. Data. And it's not under the... Yeah. So let's have a new file here called poems.json. And let's just copy paste some data here. So now we have few poems here. You could have it like this. I don't know if there are 10 or something. So with these poems we do not have the VIP option here at all, but we could make it so that we are providing a false as the let's see. So here we have a poem that is this poem string, so we need to use this key, but here is no any value for the VIP setting. So we are getting the poem.poem, which is the actual value, and we are then giving false as the value for VIP. And now we need to, of course, add this new poem here function. And it is getting two values, this poem and this VIP. So this file is definitely not TypeScript, but we will get to that when we are using React in the end of the course. Now this is just basic old JavaScript. So the poem should be added to the wall. Let's get this wall. We need a list item there. And then if this new poem is a VIP, so if this VIP equals true, then we need to add a new class. So let's get this new list item. Class list add, and we are adding the class called VIP. After that, we are just adding some materialized classes. So first of all, this is column, this is small 6, medium 4, large 3, and then we are appending child here, which is this actual poem. And now we can finally then add this like this. And now if this is working, it's very good. I have probably made few mistakes. Yeah, there is even text is white here, so this is not good. So this button is not working, and this button is not working either because we are not having the API working. So yeah, now we should get this button working, of course. Yes, as I said, I have still missing some parts. So we can just use this add new poem function, which we just built, and have this poem input, its value, it's the text area field, and then this VIP.checked value. Let's then test this. Not working. So we have a null value here. Get element by ID. There was a mistake on 29. Mistake. Now we are getting something. Yes, but definitely not that what we wanted. So let's see. So this poem is not working. Yeah, value max. What? It should be value. Yeah. I have. So Visual Studio Code is really getting on my nerves right now. Now it's working. What about this? It seems that they are now in the bold. We can check the code. Is there any class VIP? Yes, there is. And these first cases, they do not have the VIP classes. So our front end is now pretty much working. There are still something. Let's see if I'm still missing something or not. Yeah, so this, when we are adding new poem here, we should also send it to the backend. But let's first go to the backend and build some kind of way to handle this whole thing. So we have this backend system here. It's providing us a lot, but not everything. So we need to do something. For example, let's first have this router. And now we don't have this kind of a file, but we can soon we will build it. And then let's import also Morgan that helps us get logs and see how our application is really working. Then we have the application, and now before we start to use it, we need to have some kind of settings. So first we are using this express.json, as JSON is the tool what we are using, and another setting is not unsubscribe. Wow. It seems that the Visual Studio Code is not happy with me right now. Express URL encoded, and we are setting this to be false. This is a bit long setting. We need to send that extended, and it's false. Now our application will probably work better. And we add this Morgan. Let's then use also that Morgan. So we are setting that Morgan. There is a plenty of things if you go to the Node.js Morgan package. There are plenty of ways to use this, but now as we are doing development, we can set the value here, dev, and now it will log us these information, so we are happy with that. We will then in the future see what happens. Are we still missing something? Yeah, let's have an app use this root and our router. Okay, now it is pretty much working. The only thing is missing is this router that should then work, so we will build that next. As we are not having this source folder, let's have that, and then add a file there called what was it? index.ts. And what we are doing here, we will need few packages. So we are getting something from this Express, and now we are needing a request, response, and this router from Express. So as we have this here in the server, we only needed the Express so that we could actually have the application. But now in this our actual application, we are now getting a request, response, and router to build routes that will take care of request and then provide response. And it's quite easy to build this actual router. It's like this. Now we have the object. And as we have this great database of ours, this poems.json, let's then first read that. We have the file system, which we have not imported, so let's import that first. So file system, from file system fs read file, and we are reading this data /poems.json. So how is it that our file is here and then we are just reading data? Why we are not using like this? Because our application is living here, so it's going to data and then poems. And yes, there is a typo too. This file is a UTF-8, and then if we are getting error, there will be a type Node.js error exception, or it can be null. And then if that does not happen, then we are getting a data which is string like this. Not like this, but like this. And now we are then having the callback. If we are having error, then we are doing something, and in this case it could be just console error and this error hours, and it's done. Otherwise we can try something, and what we are trying to parse this. We are missing a, so we have this router, and then we are having the actual array of our poems that we are reading from the file. So let's build that. Poems. This is a string array like this, and now we are putting something to this poems array, and it's the, we can use this JSON parse and the data we have read. So if this is successful if we are successful reading this file and we are getting data, then we can try to parse it, and of course we can have errors there. So this error can be in some type. Then we are just logging that error, and we are getting some kind of error. We are not sure what was it. We can still then give it to the user and developer, who can then make improvements to the application. So this is our file reading parse. So in the end of this file, we are exporting this as router. Now it's working. But this is only providing us the data from the file, which was not possible in the JavaScript, but which is possible in Node.js. Now we need to have a way to get that to the browser. And guess what? This is the easiest part. So we have this our router. We can just get answer to the get call, which is our application is doing. So what kind of a URL is the client asking? So this is just as this root, and then we are getting a request, which is type of a request, and we are also getting a response variable, which is the type of response. And then we will have our callback, which is just using this response. It doesn't matter what we have here in the request. We are just providing a response as a JSON, and it's this our poems, and that's all what we need. So this 3 lines of code is taking care of a request that is targeted to this root, and it's providing us the poems array that is filled with the data got from here. In the perfect world, I'm still not sure if this is working, but let's see. Now we need to update this our front end a bit. So this is now fetching the data. Yeah, it should work. Let's see. No, it did not. Syntax error. Okay. We are getting a doc type. It's not valid JSON, so our application is providing something else than JSON. So we got an syntax error, unexpected token. So it seems that our API is providing the whole web page, and this is because we are trying to reach basically the root directory, which is the same as this index.html we have here. So let's rename this. So this would be, let's say, wall.html. Let's see what happens now. Now our software is getting what it wanted. It wanted the poems and it got those. So now these should be, of course, in the correct place. So let's now get to the wall HTML and get poems from API, and now we got the poems as they were supposed to be. So now we have a, let's say, this poems.json, which is in a way it's a database. It's just a file, but it has our poems, and we have a way to get the poems to our web application, our client, through this route which we now have here. So this is a simple way to get these things working. Now we have a front end and the back end, and the front end can get content from the back end. This is the starting point. We will now check a few bits and then continue with this. So we have this acronym CRUD. It means that we are providing API and there are different endpoints to provide various functionalities. And the commonly used functionalities are create, read, update, and delete. So with the post request we can add something new. Let's say it's a new poem, or we can get something. For example, one poem or all the poems. We could update something. It means that we are changing something, let's say fix a typo in a poem. And this is like a put, HTTP put, although there is no such real thing. It's a bit more abstract. And delete, we are removing something, remove a bad poem or something. In real life, these are mostly done with the post call or get call, but programmer can think of it like there would be a put call and delete call. And these are especially useful when there is a database, but it can be used without databases too. So in databases we are usually having this operation, but the database can be, let's say, of one file or even array in JavaScript. It doesn't matter, it's still working. Let's have an example of this. So we want to have more functionality in our application. Besides just getting all the poems, we would like to have some kind of a way to post poem to the backend and to get one poem through API with some ID, etc. So those basic CRUD functionalities. Let's try to build them. So we have this front end, what we have been developing. This is just a basic JavaScript. And now every time we make a call to the backend, for example, by pressing this get poems from API, we will get this kind of a line saying that we are making a get call. It's giving 3 or 4 and it's how long does it take. So this is beneficial to us. So we have been, first when we are reloading this page, we get the HTML, we get the JavaScript and CSS files, and then this is the API call, this last one. And this is provided by this Morgan. So if we wouldn't have this Morgan here up and running, we could then refresh this, nothing would be printed here. So this Morgan is helping us in that sense that now we know what kind of calls are made to the backend. But there are also other tools like Postman. This is an application that is providing us an interface to make API calls. Yeah, it's a decent software, but then there is also this completely open source Bruno, and you can actually even install some plugins to Visual Studio Code and make those calls. But I'm now using this Bruno as an example. So here is a Bruno. So this is a just simple application, and I have this test here, so I can call this localhost 8000 and let's see what we are getting from the backend. So what did we get? So it provided us all of these poems. So it is working. It makes the same call than this get poems from the API. But it would be nice to have some kind of a other API endpoint than just this one get here. So let's build that. So first of all, if we wanted to get only one poem, let's say this our website has 1 million or billion of poems. So then it's not wise to load all of them. It would be better to load only one of them. So let's copy paste this. Now the endpoint is the same, but we need to, of course, modify it. So let's get only one from there. We get a parameter. It is the syntax is to use colon and then the ID of the parameter, which is in this case called ID. Otherwise, this is almost the same. So now we only need to provide a one poem. So let's have this ID first of all. How do we get that ID? So this is just a string having an ID, but we can now get the real variable having that ID. So this ID is a number, and we will get it with parse int. And where are we parsing that int from? It's this request. So our client, whether it's this Bruno or our browser, it's making a request that we have here as a parameter. So this request has params, and we want to get the params ID that is there. And then we can try this. There might be, of course, the case that the ID is bad. It doesn't function as we would like to. So we are returning this poems array ID only, the one specific poem from that array. And now it works, but of course we can catch some error. It might be any type. So then we can just console put it to error stream. I could have copy pasted here, yeah, much easier. So let's now use this our Bruno and have a slash ID. Let's have a ID 3, and now we got only the third, or actually the fourth poem. Let's see. It is this one. Let's try to get the 11th poem. This is the new poem. No, it's not. Now our API works. It's giving us the correct. Oh yeah, I'm missing this one here. That's the reason. Yeah, so we have 13 poems there. So our last is the 12th, and the first is the 0th. So this API is now completely working. It was quite easy. And what if we wanted to save some new poems to our API? So we could get once again this part of code to our starting point. And now we are not making a get call. So someone wants to post a poem to our backend. So let's use post method for this. And now we can use the same endpoint because the method is different. But it could also be good that if we have a post ID. But let's now start with this. First we need some poem that is provided by the call client. It's probably a string, and we can have it from this request object body. That's the new poem, and then we can just push this poem array of ours just push this poem to the array, and now it's there in the array, so it's completely working. Yeah, poems of course. And now this is completely working, but when we refresh the server, then the poem does not exist anymore. So we need to have a way to also save it to here on the poems.json. So we are using this file system, write file, then we are calling what is the file, it's this data / poems.json. What else we need to do? We will provide the data, stringify, so we are putting this JSON array to this as a string to the file. And then we might have, of course, error, and this type is Node.js exception or null, like this. And then the actual callback, if we have some error, then we can just once again console log this error, which was in this variable here, and return, so we cannot do anything further. Otherwise, we can provide this our poems array as a response to this post call. So now our backend should accept new poems. Then our frontend is not yet providing a way to post, or did we make it so that it would post? No, we didn't. So here we are adding the new poem to the user interface here in the browser, but we would also like to put that new poem posted to the backend. So let's write a few lines of code here. So we are fetching, and this call is going to the localhost 8000, and then we need to send a bit more headers here. So first of all, our method is post instead of this get, and then headers we are sending content type, which is application JSON. So this is not just a plain text, it's JSON. And what else? Here, as we have this here index, we are taking the body of the request. We also need to have that body there. So here the body is the actual new poem. It's JSON. We have a poem, and it has some kind of a content, of course. So the content here is this poem input dot value. So the same here. Here we are adding it to the browser here in the DOM, and here I'm missing the plus sign. Yes, that would be our fetch call. So let's have the response. So poem data await this fetch call. Yeah, we could have the async here, and after this we can then of course have the no poem data, as this our application was making the response having all the data provided. Like this. And in this case, if we have the data, then we can console log it. We should get back all the data that we have been providing. So now let's try to make a call here. Let's first refresh this, and now we are writing our new poem. Yes, this text is still, and also this should be probably sent to the backend. So we made a call there, and it seems that there is a new poem, but it's empty. Let's make a new call. Yes, there is now also another new poem, but it's empty, so we have a mistake in our code somewhere. And now I'm saying that here is the mistake. There's reach applications. It's application. Let's see how this is now going. And now we got the poem back. So let's see in the back end. Here is the poem is logged, and now we are getting back all the data, and the last one here is the actual poem. So now it is working. So just a small typo there, and everything is going over the head. So this is now working. Now we have the API. We can also make a post call with this Bruno. So let's make a post call 8000, and we are not providing anything here as a parameter. We should set the parameters here. No body, JSON. Let's see. Poem foo. Can we make this kind of a call? And it provided us all the poems. So we can also make the calls with Bruno. Let's refresh this and let's get all the poems. So the last one should be foo, which was now made with this Bruno application, which is very handy when you are testing your API endpoints and try to make calls what you want. Here you can set all the things you want to get. So this is the very simple way how to build a backend application that is providing us data to the front end that the front end is just fetching. We are not building the layout on this Node backend, but we have a completely different front end application that is just calling the backend with these fetch calls, and now the backend is responding. So now we have a way to get all the poems, one specific poem by its ID, and we have a way to post poems. Similarly, we could have a application here that we could modify some poem or we could delete some poem. So for example, if we had this post with ID, so now we could check that there is this ID. So it means that we are probably editing a poem. So let's get that ID and modify it with our new content. So this content would replace the poem. Similarly, if we had, let's say, get/delete, and we would have ID here. So this would probably mean that we want to delete that ID. Well, it would be probably better to have a post call, but both of them would definitely work. So if we have a post delete, then just check that this ID exists and remove it from the array and remove it from the file. So now we have this data here. We have this poems.json, and here we have plenty of poems now. There are some empty poems, and then there are these poems that are not empty. So these we could of course remove here, but it's not necessary right now. So this is how you build a backend that can have a different endpoints that the frontend can then use. So as a conclusion, Node.js lets you code with JavaScript or TypeScript in the backend. Node.js is fast and can serve multiple requests at the same time. Express.js helps developing Node.js based application, as we have now seen. And with Express it is easy to build an API to serve you your own frontend, but also provide an API to be used by a third party. So you could have the same API you are using on your front end, but also you could make it the API public and someone else can use it too if you see that fit. That's all.